right, welcome to Computational Combat. We're looking at mixed martial arts through the eyes of a betting algorithm. I'm Dylan Grayson, joined as always by the brains of the operation, Jonny Koppelman, and a man more rightfully set to challenge for the UFC welterweight title than Jorge Masvidal again. It's Connor Prater.
Hey, bro, I can make 170 if I cut off one of my legs.
Yeah, it's fine. I think
Sign me, Dana.
I'm kind of liking this pattern of just inserting you where a fighter shouldn't be. Just like, oh, neither man's really the bantamweight champion. Connor. Oh,
I'm just kind of irritated.
The title sucks. Connor.
It's just annoying that, like, first of all, I love Nate Diaz. I'm going to preface it with that, but the fact that you get 2 title shots off of a win off Nate Diaz is absurd. It's absurd.
Right.
Johnny, I mean this in the most sincere way possible. It does not surprise me in the slightest that you were a Diaz fan.
Big Nate Diaz fan. Nate and Nick, they're my boys.
I will save the majority of this rant for mid to late April when it is more relevant. However, there is one thing about both Jorge Masvidal challenging again for the welterweight title and the UFC allowing fans back. Right? There is one thing that applies to both of those decisions, and it is wait. If we wait a little bit longer, it's safe to have fans back. If we wait a little bit longer and Jorge Masvidal gets one more win, it's reasonable. But the reason that the UFC hasn't waited on either of these decisions has also been one thing: money. Dana White likes money. So he's going to make 2 bad decisions, one of which is dumb for the sport and one of which is dumb for the fans. So what? So be it. I'm not happy about it, but it's stupid and I fucking hate it. Also, Wonder Boy should be challenging. And there should be fans at, like, I don't know, 25% capacity first. You know, ease us back into it.
If anyone's getting a rematch, it's Colby Covington. I don't understand how you give Masvidal a rematch before Covington. That just doesn't make sense.
I mean, you got another win since. Like, it's ridiculous.
Do the Edwards fight. Do the Wonder Boy fight. Let earn his shot.
Not the Edwards fight right now.
No. I like the Wonder Boy. I like the Wonder Boy fight.
The thing is, both Wonder Boy and Edwards have a more interesting claim to a title than either Colby or Masvidal.
Yeah, I wouldn't say then over Colby, but I would say over, because the Colby fight was really close. That would be a great fight. That was one of my favorite fights of all time.
Right, but it's not about the fact that it was close. It was about the fact that since then, Colby has exactly 1 win, and it was over Tyron Woodley.
Yeah.
And, you know,
but what is that really? What has Leon Edwards beat in the last 3 years? 2 years.
In the last 2 years,
he's fought once in the last 2 years, pretty much. Unless the other one falls in barely.
It's just barely.
I mean, a lot of that was also, like, not his fault.
It's not his fault. It's not his fault at
all. But even then, like, I'll take the dude who at least hasn't fought for the title yet over the dude who lost, and has fought once since.
Yeah, I mean, it does hold up.
Because Colby's doing what Leon was doing, and he's just turning down every possible fight.
Dude, they should have done the Colby Masvidal fight, and then Wonder Boy, Usman. That would have been sick.
Yeah, and then had Edwards returns.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh wow! I didn't even think about that. Edwards. Yes, that's a great fight.
Fucking sign me, Dana. I'll be your matchmaker. Like, whatever. I'll be.
Those all make money. Those are all standalone main cards that would sell.
Yeah. All right. So speaking of that absolutely cursed card, Edwards versus Muhammad, what's going on with the
money
from last week? How did we do?
Well, we had another bright week. To the haters' surprise, we went up over 30% again, 31%. I would like to say standout wins from a couple people here. Yeah, right?
Yeah, yes.
Wait, did you guys think that the Yaya one wasn't? No, you guys agreed with the Yaya one.
We agreed with that one. That one made sense.
That one was great. Then our Jew boy, one of us.
Semmelsberger.
We had he was our highest bet. And Yaya was too, but he came in huge. He supported the 3 Jews podcast because maybe we would have went out if that lost. And then Yaya's win stood out as well. And then the next one,
even as the highest bet of the night, those were tied for that.
It was the Matthew fight and then Yaya.
Okay.
And then the rest of the fights were pretty similar. Then I would say the next impressive one was Ryan Spann. Other than that,
not belong in the same.
You know, it was a great one. David Grant. That was a great one.
That was a really good call.
That was a great one.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that, and that was a disgusting knockout. Obviously, Gavin Tucker didn't come through, but I think I would be remiss to not mention Dan Ige. Holy fuck.
50K, baby.
I didn't know he had that in him.
Who did I call for that fight? I think I called Ige.
You called Ige. You said that he wasn't ready or something.
Right,
no, you said he was overrated. You said he was heavily overrated, Grant Tucker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And or Gavin Tucker.
Like, arguing that Ige was going to win that fight doesn't surprise me in the slightest. I liked Tucker as a value play, but if you told me, yeah, Dan Ige is going to win by knockout in 20 seconds, I'd be like, no, he's not. But hey, here we are, because like Gavin Tucker survived murder at the hands of Rick Glenn, and then he just died on the first punch from.
Oh yeah, but how much of him was left afterwards?
Evidently enough for him to then win 3 fights in a row. I mean, like
really? 3 fights in a row, damn.
Yeah. All right. That being said, let's move on to this week and what we're actually talking about this time around. UFC Fight Night, Holland versus Brunson, and we start off the night with the flyweight division. We've got Bruno Silva versus JP Bays. And yes, Johnny, it is pronounced Bays despite being spelled Buys. So hold your horses and be careful with this one. Although I don't think you'll have to say much because we have a debut here. So Bays is coming off of a Contender Series win. Silva is 0-2-1 in the UFC. He's really 0-3, but one of his losses was overturned because his opponent was caught using diuretics. So fuck that guy. So I guess for anyone uninitiated, diuretics are drugs that clear water out of your body to make you pee a ton. And there are 2 possible uses for them in MMA. 1, weight cutting. It can help you cut more weight. But 2, the more sinister use in MMA is that it can clear other drugs out of your system. So if you're taking steroids, oftentimes you'll try and hide it by flushing it out of your system just before a test by taking a diuretic, and then you get caught for the diuretic. So fuck, I think it was Khalid Taha.
Yep.
Regardless, Bruno Silva isn't exactly great, and Bays is on a decent streak here with wins in LFA and on the Contender Series. I'm going to go with JP Bays.
Yeah, I don't have that much else to add here. First off, it's weird to note this is not the only person with the last name Bays on this card. There's another person.
They are married.
I was wondering that. Okay.
Yeah, that is his wife. We'll discuss that.
Yeah, so JP Bays, like Dylan was saying, he's got momentum coming into this one. He's younger. He is they're both around the same size, but he's a decent amount younger, and he actually has momentum, and at least based on a few of his Contender Series showings, because this is actually his second time on the Contender Series, he appears to be at least a decent wrestler. So I would also take buys in this one, but like it's the curtain jerker, so who can really say?
You just pulled the Johnny.
You said buys.
It's JP.
Yes.
Johnny,
Oh, I'm never letting that go.
Let's go.
Wait, speaking about diuretics, is that an IPA?
Yeah, it's a hazy.
Nice.
Yes, alcohol is a diuretic. Lovely. All right, moving on to the next one here. We've got the number 15 ranked. I'm actually surprised by that. The number 15 ranked women's bantamweight fighter, Julia Avila, versus Julia Stoliarenko here.
That's pronounced Julia?
That is pronounced Julia. Yes.
I knew that. I was testing Connor.
Yes. So Stoliarenko's loss to Kunitskaya doesn't really inspire confidence, but she's also dropping from. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I'm wrong here. Is this fight at flyweight or is it at bantamweight? Because
bantamweight.
It is a bantamweight. Okay. So yeah. So Stoliarenko lost to Sajara Eubanks. Or am I mixing up the two Julias?
No,
right?
you did.
Give me a second. The other Julia.
Avila lost to Eubanks.
Okay, so Avila lost to Eubanks. This is what happens when they have the same name. The loss to Sajara Eubanks is probably worse than a loss to Yana Kunitskaya in my book, although I'm not like crazy. So I'm going to take Stoliarenko here, but like honestly, not dead set on that. If you argued otherwise, you could probably sway me.
All right. Allow me to try. So I I don't have a lot to say about this one. Avila is an absurdly wild striker. She's very much, we'll be talking about Derek Brunson later, but she's very much in the Derek Brunson vein of like, my chin is going to be towards the roof and I will be swinging wildly with both arms. It got her a win over Gina Mazzani, and it cost her a fight against Sajara Eubanks because she just wasn't able to keep it up. On the other side, Stoliarenko got like pretty badly outstruck and just extremely heavily controlled by Kunitskaya. Like nearly the entire fight was just her being pressed up against the cage and dominated. There were a few times where she went for really really bad spinning kicks and literally just got picked up and dumped down. Avila is a horrifically wild striker, so it wouldn't surprise me to see her get chin checked, but I'm probably going to take Avila on this one. Just like I'm going to take the more aggressive striker between two arguably not great fighters.
All right, Johnny, you got anything?
Yeah, so
higher confidence.
Avila is the Algo's pick, agreeing with Connor here. 61.41% favorite, but as you guys can imagine, she's a pretty heavy favorite on the books. I'm going to need an interpreter to say the last name again. Stoliarenko?
Stoliarenko. It is phonetic as far as I know. Very proud of you.
Thank you. So Stoliarenko is a value play here with, if you are setting aside a certain amount of money to throw all of, you'll be throwing 10.6% on Stoliarenko. And if you have funds set aside where you want to put only the correct amounts, you'll be putting 0.69%. I said it wrong the second time.
We're aware. All right, moving on to the next one here. We've got Montel Quick Jackson versus Jesse Strader. I want to point out the most important thing here. Montel Jackson spells quick like Nesquik. Important stuff here.
I don't know if that's just the UFC website fucking up or not. Tapology has it spelled normally, and I'm pretty sure it is spelled normally.
Well, maybe the UFC needs to fire their intern and hire a new one, I guess. Regardless, Jackson versus Strader. This bout at 135 pounds. 2-1 in his last 3. He hasn't fought since 2019. Strader isn't exactly looking too hot right now. His lone loss is to Marcelo Rojo, who we just saw face Charles Jourdain, and he seems decent enough despite the loss. That being said, I'm going to take Montel Jackson here. I just don't think Jesse Strader has proven himself to be UFC caliber yet with the record he has.
Yeah, so Strader has like kind of wild striking. He seems to hit reasonably hard based on some of his fights before he's gotten into the UFC from Combate. But on the other side, Montel Jackson, like, the two people that he's lost to, Ricky Simone and Brett Johns, no shame in losing to either of them. They're both super legit. I'm actually really mad right now that Brett Johns is no longer in the UFC. I don't know if he got, I think he just chose to not resign. He's in Bellator now.
Oh, damn.
I think Bellator's on the come up, so.
He's had at least one fight with them. Did you say Bellator's on the come up?
In my opinion.
I mean, somewhat. They're not going to catch up to the UFC, but like they've been making some matches.
The only way they catch up to the UFC is if they get an absurd amount of funding so they can hire athletes competitive rates.
But yeah, so the two people that he's lost to are pretty legit, and also like he's fought a good level of competition and people that can hit hard and strike and wrestle. Like I'm not sure what Jesse Strader is going to bring to the table that he hasn't seen before. So yeah, I'm gonna take Jackson in this one.
Johnny?
I believe that there is a debut.
There is, of course, that is.
Also, can we just also talk about how absurd Montel Jackson's reach is? Because he's 5'10" with a 75.5-inch reach.
He's 5'8", I think.
Tapology has him at 5'10".
Oh, Wikipedia has him at 5'8".
But still,
UFC website has him listed as 5'10". But then again, it also does have Jesse Strader listed as 0'0". So, you know.
Either way, he has absurdly long arms.
Right.
Yeah, 75.5.
Like somebody that should be 6'2", 6'3".
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, he also has gigantic hands relative to his Are you measuring yourself, Johnny?
I want to see my reach at 5'8". I'm 5'8", so I want to see if he was 5'8", what his reach would be.
His reach would be 5'8". It would be 68 inches.
Right.
Oh, let's see what mine is.
That would be normal, but you know.
My reach is 68. What is that?
Congrats,
Yeah,
you're normal.
That's right on. That's right on
Yeah.
target. You
I
have
measured
an
myself,
index of 1.
I'm 6'1", and I think I have like a 74-inch reach.
I did that right.
I've never measured my reach.
Really?
It's kind of hard.
I've
Usually gets
never
like-
fought, in any.
Yeah, but you've never been
professional
curious.
All right. Oh, I have a 72. I have a 72-inch reach. I didn't put my fingers out. I was measuring from my palms.
This is
Jonny,
the
just
type
have
of
your girlfriend do it.
yeah. This is
She's in Albany. All right. I'll stop shitting around. This is a terrible card. I'm trying to add some flavor.
Well, the people who just listen and don't watch this are just going to be very confused by what's happening. Regardless, moving on to the next bout here. This one at middleweight, we've got Giles versus Roman Dolidze. And Roman Dolidze should be sponsored by Manscaped because holy fuck, that dude's hairy. What the hell? Jesus Christ. That being said, actually talking about what matters here. Despite being undefeated, Dolidze hasn't really faced anyone as good as either of the two men that have beaten Giles. I don't think Dolidze is quite as good as the hype around him says he is. A win here would shut me up, but I'm actually going to take Giles.
Is there a lot of hype around Roman Dolidze?
There's at least that I feel he may be overhyped.
I can explain that in a second, but there is hype on him.
Yeah, I think the thing for me here is like Giles is super inconsistent. Like also honestly, I think he should have 3 losses in the UFC if I remember correctly. His split decision win over James Krause was when James Krause went up in weight on a very short notice, and in my opinion, should have won the fight. But either way, I think he's really inconsistent, but he also like has like significantly better wins. Like he has a win over Bevan Lewis, who himself is like okay, but like fighting at the level of like Bevan Lewis and James Krause is still better than like split decisions over John Allen.
Johnny?
So the algorithm thinks Roman is a 54.22% favorite, disagreeing with both of you guys. However, the books, to go on the hype thing, have him as an even bigger favorite. And they have Giles as a pretty decent underdog. I heard that too.
Every time, dude.
It can be like, it does not matter where in the world this name comes from. Jonny will find a way to just completely fuck it up.
That's the crazy.
You know what? I'm not a reader. I'm a writer.
Even be like, oh, how uncultured of you, because entirely American, relatively phonetically pronounced.
Is it Gillies?
It's Giles.
Wait, that does not look like Giles, though.
Sometimes a G is a soft G,
Listen, I was never taught that, all right? I had to go to the classes for handwriting. I must have missed this.
Dude, we went to the same
instead of
school
a G, it's a J, like in Johnny.
Yeah.
But that would be a J. See, that's where you lose me.
Okay, not only did we go to the same school system, Johnny, but I was also, as a young kid, in occupational therapy because my was so bad. So we got the same exact education.
You're outing me here. Whatever, we're putting a value play on him. If you're throwing everything, you're putting 2% on him. And if you have a fund set aside, you're throwing 0.14%. So it doesn't even matter how to say his name. This fight doesn't matter.
On who? Who are you throwing it on?
Giles.
Okay. You saved yourself there. You saved yourself. Man. Oh, Jesus.
All right, there's at least one good name in here for him.
Oh, we're gonna have some fun here, no doubt. Okay.
I know which name you're talking about now.
All right.
Yeah, it's the
Moving
whitest.
on to this next one, we've got Leonardo Santos versus Grant Dawson at lightweight. So this is a really interesting one. Leonardo Santos is one of those guys who had a lot of hype around him, took a lot of time off, fights relatively inconsistently now. He definitely has the more impressive wins between him and Dawson. Dawson, at the same time, has been fighting consistently and winning, but I feel like Santos is the better fighter, and we're just not seeing his full potential because we're not seeing him fight often enough. I'm going to take Leonardo Santos, but I think Grant Dawson would be making a massive statement here if he did win. But Santos.
I have one thing to say. He can't keep getting away with this. Leonardo dos Santos, he fucking knocks out Kevin Lee
Mhm.
in the first round, the BJJ guy, who also, I believe, has a win in BJJ over George St. Pierre, if I remember correctly. But he knocks out Kevin Lee in 2015. He takes a year off, wins against Adriano Martins, whatever it is, takes 3 years off, knocks out Stevie Ray, takes a year off, wins a dominant decision over Roman Bogatov, takes another fucking year off. I don't get it. He can't keep getting away with it. At this point, he is 41. If the magic of never fighting holds up, I would fully expect him to win this, but maybe the age is caught up to him. For the shits and giggles, I'll pick Dawson just because I refuse to believe a 41-year-old can pull it off again. But secretly, I am rooting for Santos. I really like him.
I was not aware he was that old. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's just been doing this exact shtick forever. He was 35 when he knocked out Kevin Lee.
So the algorithm agrees with Connor, and it picks Grant Dawson as a 56% favorite, excuse me. But the books have him as an even larger favorite. We caught value on Santos. If you're throwing everything, you're throwing 10.6% on Santos. And if you're putting aside some money and you're betting the right way, you're betting 0.69% of your fund on Santos.
All right.
And yes, he's 41 years old right now.
That's crazy to me. I was not thinking of that.
At 41, if I got hit in the face, I'm out for years, I think. I think I'm sleeping for years.
At 23, if I get hit in the face, I'm out for years.
Yeah, true.
All right, moving on to the next one. We've got Marion Reneau, the number 9th ranked women's bantamweight fighter, versus number 11, Macy Chiasson. This one's really interesting because Marion Reneau needs a win like I need a fucking haircut. Badly. Really, like it's bad. It's
Yeah, I'm rocking like a Beatles do right now.
yeah.
What up, Jude?
Yeah. Regardless, Marion Reneau was on a 3-fight skid. You know, mostly decent names that have beaten her, but like a 3-fight skid is a 3-fight skid here. I'm gonna take Chiasson. I just don't think Marion Reneau has it anymore.
All right. So you were surprised by Leonardo Santos being 41, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how old Marion Reneau is?
I don't know her exact age, but I know she's up there.
Take a guess.
41.
She's 43.
Okay.
So I'm not going to pronounce Macy's last name because I'm not sure that you said it correctly, but I'm not confident enough on the correct pronunciation.
It's right.
Definitely wrong.
If it helps you think if it's right or wrong, I would have said it that way.
I was surprised you wouldn't have done like Chiasson or something like that.
Wait, we're not done with this segment. He's still mine.
All right. In her prime, I would have taken Marion Reneau. Like, she does have the skill set that I think would do well against Macy. But she's 43. She's on a 3-fight skid. She's tough. You know, she makes it to decisions every time. Maybe there's something to the fact that Macy is kind of a front runner and that she usually, other than her most recent fight, she usually wins by a knockout or kind of fades late like she did against Lena Landsberg. Maybe there's something there. Actually, it's not fair for me to say that considering she only has the one loss, but like the Landsberg fight kind of showed that like she will fade over time. So maybe there's something there, but I'm not going to bet on the 43-year-old winning this fight. She's not Alexei Olenek.
Yeah, I mean, the algorithm will bet on the 43-year-old, and it has Reneau as a 51% favorite.
Oh.
Which is really nothing, but I mean, she's an underdog on the books, so you're going to put 10.6% on her if you're using all your money, and if you have a fund set aside and you're long-term playing, you're going to put 0.69% of your fund on her. I personally don't know enough about this fight, but I don't like betting on people above 40 years old, so I don't like this bet.
Fair enough, and good on you for getting out of the way of saying that. Also, I will say my pronunciation of Macy Chiasson comes from the UFC announcers. So either it's correct, or we have a situation where they called him Francis Gano for like 3 fights.
No, I trust John Anik on that one.
Yeah.
Hey, the Johns think alike, so me and him are both good at it.
I don't know. When you say Chiasson, all I can think about is fucking Carl Weezer from Jimmy Neutron. That croissant.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Absolutely.
I practiced in front of the mirror.
Oh yeah, Connor is good with the impressions.
You got to throw them in more. You got to spice it up. I got to not be expecting it.
All right, moving on to the next one here. Cheyenne Bays, the wife of JP Bays, will be fighting Montserrat Ruiz. So obviously the UFC website doesn't have any data on her. She's a very recent pickup, just to fill in here in this fight. Ruiz is 1-1 in her last two before heading into the UFC debut. So say it with me. Pandemic pickup. Yeah.
I didn't write it into my notes, but I knew you were going to say that.
Right, because it's obvious, because that's what's happening. 9-1 isn't a bad record, but her losses to Dynamite Danielle Taylor, who is really, really bad. So I'm not exactly particularly confident. I say that Cheyenne Bays gets the win, bringing home 2 for her household in the night between her and JP. So, Connor, what you got?
I'm glad that you mentioned how bad Danielle Taylor is, because I still remember her fight at UFC Rodriguez versus Caceres, where between her and Marina Moroz, they each landed 17 strikes. Danielle landed 17 of 102, and Marina Moroz landed 17 of 251. That is probably one of the worst fights that I've ever seen. And every time that I see Danielle Taylor's name, I think about that. I'm pretty sure she was also the shortest fighter in the UFC while she was still around. She's like 4'11" or some shit like that. She's 5 foot. Anyway, on to this fight. This is the one that I'm least certain on, honestly. By the way, what did do you want to pull up what verdict thinks for this one?
I have it. I was gonna save it for after you.
Okay, cool. Bays wins a lot of decisions. Like, you have to go back to 2018, so not that long ago, but 3 years ago, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fights ago, for the last time that she won, or that she had any result that wasn't a decision. But at the same time, she's going to be a little bit larger than Ruiz, and Ruiz lost to Danielle Taylor, so I'm going to take Bays in this one. If you lose to Danielle Taylor, I'm sorry, I don't trust you.
Yeah, and verdict.
Wait, before you do verdict, because I watched her fight, I recognize her and her husband because he cornered her. I watched her fight in the Dana White Contender Series, and I also remember her in like a cringy fashion being like, "Watch my husband too, he's gonna be sick" or something. But she was really good. I don't know who she fought wasn't, like, maybe the person she fought wasn't amazing, but she put the hurt on that girl. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing her fight.
Yeah, so verdict agrees with all of us here. Bays by decision being the most common pick in the world, and ridiculously so. 59% of people have her by decision, compared to just 22% picking Montserrat Ruiz by decision, and then a few scattered picks for finishes here and there. But Bays by decision, the most common pick by far. All right, Johnny. Oh, nothing from the algorithm, because Montserrat Ruiz is making her debut. So moving on to the next one. And a very interesting fight because it's kind of bad. We've got Song Kenan versus Max Griffin at welterweight. And it's not that this fight is bad because it's not a good matchup. I think it's a good matchup and it might be very fun. But both of these guys have just kind of like lost whenever they faced good names. With the exception of Max Griffin beating Mike Perry before Mike Perry's downward spiral started picking up steam. Because, like, mark my words, Mike Perry is going to end up in jail again, and it's not going to be funny. Like, it's going to be I don't think it's going to be for something like, right, like
CTE rage. That's what it's going to be.
Right. Obviously, like, Mayhem Miller, like, yes, it's sad that he went down the path he did, likely because of brain damage, but some of the crimes he committed are, like, kind of funny if you're a bad person like me. Like, he peed on a church. Like, all right, I can laugh at that. Like it's dumb and it's stupid, and, like, obviously it's sad because he's in that position because of brain damage.
You're laughing at him, not with him. You're not laughing because you thought
I feel bad for laughing, but the crimes themselves are, like, funny crimes you'd see in, like, the little sidebar of the newspaper. Right. I think Mike Perry is going to end up in jail for something sinister. Regardless, that is an entire tangent.
He fought an old man. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
he completely Conor McGregor.
Yeah. But yeah, some of Kenan's losses have been worse than Griffin's, though Griffin's are a little bit more numerous. That being said, I think Griffin's skid Really only got snapped because his opponent's ear got fucked up. Like, that's not exactly something that says like, oh, Max Griffin really won this fight. He just elbowed a dude in the ear, and the ear, I think, went all explodey, if I recall correctly. I don't exactly trust him to pull off the win, so I'm gonna go with Song Kenan.
Yeah, it's weird. Max Griffin is always one of those dudes that I think maybe because of the Mike Perry fight, but every time his name comes up, I always have the gut reaction of being like, oh man, that dude's super good. Like he's gonna break through at some point. And then you look at his record and it's like lost to Oliveira, lost to Morono, lost to Alves, Millender, Zaleski, Colby Covington. Like he's just not putting it together. And at this point, he's 35.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and on the other side, like, I don't know, Kenan Song, like, he's got okay wins. I mean, he beat Callan Potter, who's like not a bad fighter per se. He's very okay for the division. Kenan Song or Song Kenan, but he's listed both ways between like UFC, Verdict, Tapology, listed both ways on Tapology actually. But either way, like he's younger, he's actually got some decent wins. I'm going to take him to win this fight. The only thing that I'm really uncertain about is the fact that he's got 4 inches less of reach despite being an inch taller. Like maybe Griffin can finally make that reach work for him.
And Verdict seems to think he
Wait.
Can.
Oh, wait. Yeah, no, do Verdict first, actually. I'm stupid.
Verdict seems to think he can. 50% of people are calling Griffin by decision. And then the next most common pick is Kenan by decision. But then the next few are all Griffin by finish. So interestingly here, the Verdict community very heavily leaning towards Max Griffin.
So we have Song Kenan as a favorite, very slim. This is one of our closest, not a record-breaking close, but one of our closest, as a 50.75% favorite. The books have him as a pretty decent underdog, so we found value there. If you're throwing everything, you're throwing 10.6%. And if you're throwing just the right amount, you're throwing 0.69%. I do want to say something, and Connor, I'm going to need you to look on Tapology because Wikipedia and UFC tend to be wrong a lot on these things online. Am I seeing this wrong? Is Max Griffin 5'9" with a 76-inch reach?
He's 5'11" with a 76-inch reach.
Okay, it makes more sense because here it says 5'9" and then 76 inches is absurd. But I mean, he has a pretty steep reach. Like Song Kenan, what is he? He's got a 71.5. Yeah.
Yeah.
6 foot 71.5. So I just wanted to know that. Yeah. Okay.
No, Max Griffin has really long arms.
Right. That's good for him, at least in this fight. Keep the range.
Able to make it work.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to the next one. Adrian Yanez versus Gustavo Lopez. This one's a really interesting fight. We've got somebody who's 1-1 in the UFC with a loss to Merab Dvalishvili. There's no shame in that. Versus a guy who's 1-0 in the UFC. All of Yanez's losses, besides his like MMA debut, have made it to the UFC. So it shows me that at least he's been kind of moving up the ranks along with people that are all kind of breaking into the UFC. Like he's that level, like this generation of UFC fighter in his division, he's coming up with all of them and, you know, right in line with them. And then you've got on the other hand, I mean, most of Lopez's losses have also been guys that have eventually made it to the UFC. This one's really tough to call. I like both of these guys as prospects. I'm going to take Yanez here. Not too familiar with either fighter, but I just like his record slightly more.
Yeah, this was when I saw this fight, my first reaction was, why the fuck is this on the main card? Just right off the bat. They're both decent strikers. Gustavo Lopez seems to be a little more interested in mixing it up and throwing in takedowns on occasion. Yanez had that really nice knockout over Victor Rodriguez. I think Gustavo Lopez has fought at least a little bit better competition personally, fighting people like Merab, Anthony Burchak, Andre Ewell, Castaneda. Those are decent names to have on your record, even if 3 of those are losses. I wrote down that I was going to be picking Lopez, but at the same time, they're both relatively new, both relatively unproven, and Yanez is actually a little bit bigger. He's 5'7" compared to 5'5", and he's got an extra 3 inches of reach on him. So maybe that ends up making the difference. I'd take Yanez in this one.
So what is Verdict saying? Then I'll go.
Ooh, yes, that is important, isn't it? So, verdict has Yanez, I believe, by decision as the most common pick in the world.
Right. So the algorithm agrees at having him as a 74% favorite, so it's pretty certain. And the books have him as a pretty decent favorite too. So we have even more than that. If you're gonna listen to the algorithm, you're gonna put 10.6% on him if you're throwing everything. Otherwise, 0.69%. That's a very common throw of the night, as you guys have seen, with every throw besides 3 being that amount. I also want to say, like, from my experience, if you're leaning more towards Connor, where it's like, I could kind of fall in the middle, you throw on Lopez here because there's a lot of value to be made there. The algorithm has Yanez as a 74% favorite, so obviously it's throwing there. I'm just saying that it's also, while you watch this podcast, healthy maybe to pick up on some of the, patterns of thought and logic that the algorithm's facing, where you can catch value in places where the book might be, exposed. And this would be, if Connor was a betting man, this would be a place where you throw money on Lopez and take advantage of that exposure.
I like that. All right, moving on to the next one.
I agree. Good shit, Johnny.
Moving on here to this next one, we have a heavyweight battle between Bam Bam Tai Tuivasa and King Kong Dantale Mays. Dantail? All right, I pulled the Johnny. Cool.
I'm glad you did that because I would have said it wrong.
Cool. Well, the good news is King Kong gets a warm-up here against Bam Bam before he faces Godzilla in theaters. Lovely. Whew, this podcast brought to you by King Kong versus Godzilla. I'm kidding. We're not brought to you by anything. Nobody pays us money. Anyway, as far as this one goes, I know Tuivasa is kind of a meme fighter, but losses to Nascimento and Alan Crowder are really concerning for Mays. I'm going with Bam Bam by knockout. Although it's heavyweight, it's possible that it goes the other way. It's unranked heavyweight. Anything can happen. It's, to borrow a phrase from my other love, professional wrestling, this fight is what we would call, quote, big meaty men slapping meat and nothing more.
That sounds like some Johnny Sins type thing.
All right, I'm going to try and pretend I didn't hear that. Tuivasa, I do not trust Tuivasa. If you look at his record, 3 straight losses and then a win over a Stefan Struve who retired and then decided to come back.
And then retired again.
Yeah, and then retired a second time, thank God. That doesn't mean shit. He's been training at AKA and he's still really young. He's only 28, so maybe that makes a difference here. But at the same time, like, Dantale Mays is significantly bigger. He's 6'6" with an 81-inch reach. He's a fucking big dude. And the second thing is both of his recent losses, as in his losses since 2017, have come by submission. Tai Tuivasa is not a submission-oriented fighter. And the other thing is, honestly, in his fight against Roque Martinez, he looked okay. Like, honestly, I think I went into that fight expecting I think I actually picked Roque Martinez because we were doing the podcast by that point, weren't we?
I believe so.
By November 14th of 2020.
100%.
We've talked about Mays once before.
I'm pretty sure that I picked Roque Martinez because I'd been going off of Dantale Mays' last few fights, and he looked pretty decent. I remember being pretty impressed with how he looked. I'm going to take Mays in this one. Maybe Tuivasa, who I think has been training at AKA, has made some kind of career-changing turn. I doubt that. I'm taking Mays.
And then looking on verdict here, the most common pick in the world is, relatively unsurprisingly, Tuivasa by knockout in the first. I say unsurprisingly because Tuivasa is, despite his lack of skill, a fan favorite. So it doesn't surprise me that verdict is going to lean in that direction. And it's not an unreasonable pick either. But
I actually think it is. I don't think Tuivasa hits very hard.
What are you willing to wager?
That's funny. That's funny hearing Connor say that. Connor, step in the ring. You're going out. You're going out.
I mean that in the context of, like, if you.
I know. I'm kidding.
Look at his win, for example. The last time, I'm not counting the Stefan Struve fight because it's Stefan Struve, but, like, if you look at his last finish before that, the Cyril Asker fight, he threw a lot of punches and elbows in order to actually get that finish. If you look at the Rashad Coulter fight, the flying knee was beautiful, but he had to throw a lot to get him to that point. Like, I don't, he's not like a Mark Hunt type where, Hunto hits you once, you go to sleep. He has to put in a lot of volume in order to put people out. And he's willing to do that, but I don't think he's the same kind of hard hitter as like, as his mentor is. I don't know. Tuivasa is not Mark Hunt 2.0 by any means.
Well, the algorithm also loves and is on the hype train of Tuivasa, and they have him as a 59% or 60% favorite. 59.96. We'll give it to 60. We'll bump that up. 60%. However, the books represent the kind of fan favorite mentality that we're talking about here, with Tuivasa being an even greater favorite. We caught value on Mays. If you're throwing everything, you're throwing 2.1% on Mays. If you're throwing the right amount, you're throwing 0.14%. I will say that whether you think they're cringy or not doesn't matter. The Nelk boys have like broken through like broken their fan base into UFC. They've done collabs with the UFC, and they like love Tuivasa. They had videos with him and stuff. So you could see some of the bettors going there because of exposure in media like that.
Who are the Nelk boys? Am I showing my age?
You're mature and you have a sense of humor of a refined human being.
Yeah, you don't know them, and you're better off for not knowing them. But they're dumbasses, and everyone who watches them is a worse person for watching.
Well, they're very smart because they're making a lot of money, but they prey on very low, like they prey on people that like watching people drink and hang out with good-looking women.
Nelk boys?
They found money in being stupid, and they are stupid.
Oh, just looking at a picture of them.
Think of it like Walmart Jackass. Like you want to buy some Jackass merchandise, and you end up buying the off-brand. That is the Nelk boys.
That's saying something. All right, moving on to the next.
But I respect them. They make a lot of, they're doing the right things, but for them.
Moving on to the next one here, we have a lightweight matchup here. The 15th ranked Gregor Gillespie versus Brad Riddell. This one really, really interesting to me. This one seems like a banger. I feel like recency bias is going to have people rooting against or betting against Gillespie because he got knocked out brutally by Kevin Lee. But like, if you get caught with a head kick from Kevin Lee and you get knocked out, like, it happens. The question is how well he's recovered from that. And he's taken a lot of time off, which is good in terms of his chin and his long-term health there. And Brad Riddell hits hard, but he is a very striking heavy fighter. And if Gregor Gillespie can get in on those takedowns and implement his kind of fight, I think Riddell is going to struggle a lot. So I'm going to take Gregor Gillespie, and I'm going to be even more confident here. I'm taking Gregor Gillespie by arm triangle. I think it happens.
Yeah, I don't know if I would be that bullish on him, but I agree with the pick. I'm going to be taking. How much are you willing to put on that? Actually, are you willing to put hot sauce on that?
Okay, well,
do it.
Wait a minute here. I'm not saying like it is a certainty. I'm saying I think Gregor Gillespie is going to win, and I can see that happening. Brad Riddell is a good fighter with good hands. He could very well knock out Gillespie.
So TLDR, you're gonna take a spoonful of the triple X sauce if Gillespie loses. Gillespie.
Okay, all right. Second time's the charm. No, I'm not, because this isn't one where I'm like. It's not like Nunes versus Anderson. I'm like, Anderson doesn't stand a chance. Brad Riddell has a very real chance of winning here. I just see a very specific route by which I think Gillespie wins.
Yeah. All right. So to zip zap zop in to make my pick, not only is Brad Riddell a good striker, he's Volkanovski's striking coach. He is a fucking awesome striker. I really, really, really want to see him fight Rafael Fiziev. I think that fight would be fucking bonkers. The head coach. He's
Tiger Muay Thai's.
Yeah, Tiger Muay Thai. Yeah,
that is insane.
That would be such a good fight. Hype. I'm already hyping on that. Win or lose, I don't want to see that shit. That being said, so Riddell, amazing striker. The dude can crack. He's just got really good fundamentals. At the same time, Dylan, how many times do you think Brad Riddell got taken down by Magomed Mustafayev?
Enough to make me confident.
He got taken down 8 times.
8 times.
By Magomed Mustafayev. He got taken down 3 times by Alex De Silva. He got taken down 3 times by Jamie Malarkey. And Gillespie is no Malarkey. He is an incredible take. I just thought of that. I'm so proud of that. Oh my God.
There are certain subreddits that would very much enjoy that.
Yeah, Gillespie is seriously, I don't remember his credentials, Dylan, if you want to pull those up on Wikipedia by any chance, but like he's like a multiple times All-American wrestler. The dude is a fucking beast.
Also an Island boy.
Yeah, he's a Long Islander. He's the best fisherman in MMA. A super consistent, super aggressive takedown artist. Before the Kevin Lee fight, he was on a 5-fight finish streak over people like Yancy Medeiros and Vince Bichelle, who I think is legit personally. Riddell could easily crack, Gillespie's 33 at this point. He's coming off a long layoff. Maybe there's something changed there. And maybe the fact that, oh no, they're the same size actually. But maybe the fact these 33 makes a difference. But if you're getting taken down that consistently by lesser wrestlers, I think Gillespie's going to work you. I'm with Dylan on this one.
Yeah. So he was a 4-time NCAA Division I All-American and won national championship in 2007. Where he went to college, he held the career high for he held the record for most career wins.
How about this? Even more impressive than that, his lowest ranking in the NCAA Division I tournament across all 4 years of college was 7th place.
Yeah,
he did that as a fucking freshman.
Yeah, oh, wow. He's also a side, or he's an assistant coach, or was, and maybe he still is. Like it doesn't say, at Hofstra University. So if I drove over to Hofstra, join the wrestling team, maybe if I go back to college I can meet him, but anyway,
that's how that works.
Yeah.
Hey, anyway, Mr. 23-year-old man we've never met before.
I'm not 23 yet, but I mean we got Gregor as a what
22-year-old with neck problems.
Yeah, my neck is so bad right now.
I'm gonna cut you off because I didn't give the verdict pick.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not done. I want to say one other thing.
Okay, yeah.
Another factor which might be going against Gregor Gillespie is that he is a small dude and he does not cut a lot of weight. He could easily make featherweight. I don't know how much he rehydrates, but like he's gonna be the smaller man. He's always going to be the smaller dude.
Are they not both 5'6"? Because that's what I'm seeing. That could be wrong.
I think Tapology has him at 5'7", but it's that he does not cut a lot of weight. Like Brad Riddell is going to be.
It's wrong anyway. It's wrong anyway. Riddell, it says he's 5'8" on Wikipedia. I don't know why this is giving me all the wrong things.
Either way, I'm taking Gillespie. He's such a good wrestler.
All right, and verdict is also taking Gillespie here. By decision is the most common pick, and then 44% of people have called it that way. Riddell by decision is the second most common pick, and then it bounces around a little bit, but Gillespie by submission, Riddell by knockout, kind of back and forth from there.
Right. So the algorithm agrees with all of you, and it has Gregor as a 68% favorite. The books have him as a even fatter favorite. We didn't catch any value on the back end, so there's no play here. I personally think that there's from even just hearing Dylan and Connor talk, I think there's value on the underdog here. But I mean, that's just me. I'd throw money on Brad if I were the listener.
For sure.
If I was a listener, I'd 100% do that because I don't think Gillespie is even close to a 70% favorite in reality. I think that's completely skewed. I don't agree with the algorithm here. I'm saying I see value on Brad.
Yeah, Gillespie or Riddell is a plus 185 underdog. I would, if I was a betting man, I would totally throw a $5 on him.
Yeah,
100%.
That's decent. That's one of those fights where, like, even if I feel a certain way, that's one where I see the value on the other side, and I might bet against my own intuition.
Right, which is smart to do sometimes.
Yeah. Moving on to the main event here, the fight which this card was built around, as John Anik might say, at middleweight, we've got number 7th ranked Derek Brunson versus number 10th ranked Kevin Holland. So Kevin Holland heard the phrase, talk shit, get hit, and replied, nah, fam. because he talks a lot of shit, but man, has he been good lately. That being said, his 5-fight win streak in 2020 is punctuated with a ridiculous knockout over Jacare Souza. One where I totally picked against him, first of all. I did not expect him to beat Jacare. And two, knocked out Jacare with punches from the bottom. First of all, he basically scissor sweeped Jacare. How do you, that is, okay. I am not good at jiu-jitsu. I am still a white belt, and it's been over a year since I've been at the gym, but I do remember being told, yeah, the scissor sweep's not exactly going to work on anyone else who's not a white belt. Fine. So Kevin Holland hits a fucking scissor sweep on Jacare, and then proceeds to just go whoop and throw a punch from his back, rocks him hard, gets up, knocks him out. It doesn't make any sense. That being said, the 4 other fights in that 5-fight win streak in 2020, not great, to be honest. He has a knockout over Charlie Ontiveros, who was a last-minute replacement, who was not good enough to be facing Kevin Holland, and who also just got a weird neck injury when he got slammed on the mat, kind of weird. Not that Holland wasn't dominating the fight, but that his opponent wasn't great. That fight in particular, but some of the others were big mismatches. The win over Joaquin Buckley, sure, it looked really good the next fight Buckley had, where he knocked out Implex Tanganai, but then afterwards, Buckley got knocked out by Alessio Di Chirico. And as much as that is a nightmare for Jonny to pronounce, that's a lot of the wins that Holland had in 2020 aren't exactly super impressive, except for the Jacare one, which is so ridiculously impressive that I have no idea what to think. Because going into the Jacare fight, I was like, I like Kevin Holland, but he's overrated. And then I don't know how
age plays a factor. Remember that age plays a factor.
Right, but Jacare didn't look busted to me.
He was 40. He was 40 years old, 41 years old, I think.
Even so, to get knocked out the way he did, to get scissor swept before it didn't make sense to me.
The chin goes.
I know, but
even before the speed goes, the chin goes.
Yeah. That being said, I think Derek Brunson is too big and too strong. And I know Brunson is getting up there as well in age. I think he's 37 or something. I feel like Brunson's going to get the job done here. But I don't know, maybe Kevin Holland, walked into the forest and spoke to a monk and got lead hands or something.
Hey, he's not Jan Blachowicz.
Yeah, no. The monk would be dead if it were Jan Blachowicz.
Yeah.
All right. What a fucking fight. Oh my God. Yeah. I really want Kevin Holland to win this one. He's so fucking charismatic. He's so funny. Telling fucking Joaquin Buckley that he's got a booger and then knocking him out after he wiped his nose. Priceless shit. You can't make that up. That being said, Derek Brunson, man, there is a very specific type of fighter that beats Derek Brunson. If you go through his list or through his list of losses, other than the Anderson Silva lost, you've got Izzy, Jacare, Bobby Knuckles, Yoel Romero, Jacare, and then his first ever loss back in 2012. He's what? There is no disrespect meant by calling Derek Brunson a gatekeeper, but he is a gatekeeper, and he's extremely fucking good at his job. If you look at his fight with Edmund Shabazian, he's definitely showing improvements, especially between the Theodoru, Heinisch, and Shabazian fights. He's been much more comfortable with mixing in takedowns as well as his striking. He still strikes horribly. He still throws his chin up and looks up at the ceiling while he throws punches. So maybe Holland can capitalize on that with some counter punching. But his takedown defense looks nice. His takedowns look nice, and his striking looks adequate. The question that I have to, yes, he's 37, but the question I have to ask myself is Kevin Holland at that same level of Jacare, Yoel Romero, Izzy, and Bobby Knuckles? And I don't think the answer is yes. I think the gate is going to get closed in his face, unfortunately. That being said, it's not the worst thing to happen. I also do like Derek Brunson. He seems like a really nice guy. So I'm going to take Brunson, but I'm going to be rooting for Holland all the way through.
Oh, verdict. The most common pick in the world is Holland by knockout in the second, and that just doesn't seem like a likely case to me. I think that is painted very much by recency bias.
Yeah, and you want to hear something crazy? The algorithm comes in, slams its money where its mouth is, and says 82% on Derek Brunson.
Wow.
And it is saying, I don't care about the hype. I only see numbers. Well, guess what? I don't like that play because I love Kevin Holland, but this is the biggest bet we've ever had in history of the algorithm because he is a plus 145. So we have him as a huge favorite, and he is an underdog. We are throwing, if you are throwing everything, right? You are putting 43% of your throw on Derek Brunson, and otherwise another record high, 2.78% if you're doing the long term. This is the most exciting play I have ever seen. And basically, I've done the math already. If he wins, the night's positive no matter what. If he loses, the night's not negative no matter what, but most of the other fights would have to win. Dude, this is crazy. This is so exciting.
That's so ballsy.
Oh my God. Okay. I'm actually terrified of that because we could do so well. We could make almost every call and that one could just bite us in the ass. It's all over.
But that's what makes it so good because the fact that this is where the money is made. Where is it hype or is it not? And when the algorithm calls out hype when it's not real, that's where the money is because that's the only way you're going to beat the public when they're hyped up and you're based on reality. I mean, you guys yourselves said you liked Brunson. I don't think you would say 81%. I think you'd probably say somewhere more like 60, maybe 59, somewhere around there. But
I would say like 65.
65, that's even fair. 81's crazy.
Yeah.
The algorithm is a crazy son of a bitch. I'm looking forward to it, though.
Okay, so I totally see, Brunson's an underdog. Throw your money on that. I like that.
Yeah, it's a great value play. It is. But
okay, so so if you're throwing a set amount of money just this weekend, you're throwing more than half of it on just this fight.
No, you're throwing 43%.
Oh, just under half of it. That is
just under half. Yeah, it's basically like you saying, like, I'm gonna throw this, I'm gonna throw this, I'm gonna throw. It's okay. If you got a pie of pizza, this is basically like you having tons of different toppings and only really putting that on half, and the other half just pepperoni. That's what you're doing right now. Your eggs are pretty much in one basket.
God damn. Oh man, if that play comes through, what a fucking send.
That's why I like it. That's why I really like it.
I'm genuinely really surprised that he's a dog in this fight, though. That actually genuinely really surprised me.
Which makes me want to put these picks through now. Usually I wait because I'm lazy and I wait till the day of and I lose value because things closer to the middle. I cannot believe he's that fat of a dog.
I mean, place it. Yeah, your little your metaphor there has me reminded of the classic internet image, none pizza, left beef. For which I guess Derek Brunson is our left beef.
I will say, though, I guess one other thing to throw out there is that a lot of the people that Derek Brunson has fought and beaten are people that are a little bit smaller than him or at least don't have size parity with him. Like if you look at like Edmund Shabazian, Edmund's actually a little bit bigger than him, but he was a super raw prospect. But like Ian Heinisch is smaller than him. Elias Theodoro is smaller than him. Oh no, same size. I'm full of shit. But Kevin Holland is significantly bigger. Kevin Holland has 2 inches of height and 4 inches of reach.
But he's got that slender man build. Like,
what'd you say?
He's got that slender man build though.
Yeah, for sure.
Isn't that similar? Isn't Evan Shabazian 6'3"?
No, he's like 6'2".
Really? Okay.
Well, regardless, that just about wraps us up for the week. So we will be back either very happy or very sad after this one, and it all depends on Derek Brunson.
No.
Please argue with us in the Instagram comments, please.
We are going to be happy either way because either Derek Brunson wins, in which case, holy shit, we just fucking sent that, or Kevin Holland wins and the Smack Man continues, and we're all happy.
Yeah, that's great. I would love to see him keep on smacking on.
Speaking of Smack Man, I guess I might as well introduce the 4th member of the podcast, who is my little Smack Man, who's been hanging out here in the background. So Alfie will wave us off, And we will see you guys next week.